Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny Vega, joined by the wonderful Jake Davis and Shannon D, folks.
That's me.
Well,
Hi.
guys, I'm just so happy to be here, you guys.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm practicing some gratitude,
Aww.
lately. I don't know. I guess I just feel like I enjoy my life. I don't know.
Good.
It's weird.
I like how you laughed after saying that. Like, what a thought.
I guess it just took a while to get here, you know? I don't know. I subjected these guys to this book I really like. It's called The Creative Act. And I think it went over pretty well.
Yeah, he read us the first couple pages. Love it.
John Lovitz wrote that, right?
Rick Rubin. Close, though. I always mix them up.
Yeah.
I go, did John Lovitz produce The White Stripes or whatever?
Could have told me he did.
I have no idea. That reference is probably wrong on a few levels. But yeah, life is good, which is weird to say. I mean, Shannon, how are you? How are you guys? Shit.
I have not been very great, actually.
It's been a rough couple of weeks,
There we
actually.
go.
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being happy.
No, I mean, I'm still happy.
Okay.
I'm happy. It's just, I've always thought of August as the February of summer, and it's just been stuff,
Interesting.
just stuff coming up. And historically for me, February is kind of a rough month. But all things considered, I'm great. I love my partner. I love my cats. I love you guys. Got a great network around me. So like, even though stuff is rough, it's still all good.
There we go.
Good.
You're at
Not
not
for
very
me.
great.
Yeah, not very great. I'm doing better. I'm definitely doing better the past day, but just some shit going on. And
Yeah.
I think coming back from my trip,
Ooh.
it's like all I really had planned for the year, like the furthest I had got was that I was going to be in New Jersey. And then it was like,
Then there's no other plans on the calendar?
then I'm like, I don't really know. Like once I got back, I'm like, oh, I guess I have to kind of like face reality
Right.
and like what's going on. And should I get back into class or like, I don't know, just with the strike and everything. It's just, I don't know, just a weird feeling of like, what am I doing? The year's going by so quickly. And I'm just like trying to get back in the swing of things. And then I don't think I told you guys I'm going to Hawaii tomorrow.
What? No, you did not mention that. And weren't you just in Vegas?
Yeah, this past weekend.
so hard, Shannon. It's just really hard.
I'm going to back up Shannon on this. The idea of going away for a month, coming back home for a little bit, and then going back to Vegas right after that. Vegas is an energy destroyer. That is.
You were there for a very short period. You told me something like 30 hours.
Yeah, like 30 hours. It went really quick. And then it was a really fun time. I mean, I'm super excited to go to Hawaii. It's just like a lot of traveling and stuff. But I'm going there for my sister's best friend's wedding. Shout out to Nicole. She's a listener of the pod. Big fan.
Congrats, Nicole.
And her fiance, Devin. I believe he listens as well. So my whole family's going and my mom's officiating.
Oh, goodness. That's so
Yeah.
fun.
That's cute.
She has been wanting to officiate a wedding for years now. She literally offers it to anyone she meets that's getting married.
It is really fun.
Okay, did it?
Yeah, I did it for a friend of ours back in Phoenix, and it was funny because the bride and groom stressed, we want this to be the shortest ceremony possible. We want people to be shocked at how short this ceremony is. And they were smart because all the families were mad at me for that. They thought it was my call to do that.
To make it short?
Yeah, the older
that's
members of the family
genius.
were like, that pastor, he just rushed the whole thing. And they were kind of quietly snickering of just like, yeah, the pastor,
Yeah,
that's
that
their
guy.
day. Yeah, it's their day. So I was like, yeah, I'll take the bullet
Y'all
for
do
you. Whatever.
it. Are their families more religious or something?
I think some of the grandparents were. I didn't know their family super well. I was still very flattered that they asked me, but then they asked me to host the reception short notice, and I politely passed on that. That did not sound like fun.
Yeah, that's like a job.
Yeah.
It's not really like an honor as much as it's like you're working at the reception.
So it sounds to me like you're not settled. Is that what it is? That you have this apprehension? It's Jersey, it's Vegas, it's Hawaii. To most people, this is heaven. For you,
Oh
though,
yeah, I'm not complaining about that.
no, I
at
know,
all.
I'm kidding. But the fact that you're gonna come back and you've got like nothing else lined up, you know.
That's
scary.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of things. Like there's a lot going on just mentally. I'm not having a good mental health time. I honestly think a lot of it's my hormones and stuff are like still really not like balanced and all of that from my egg freezing.
I was going to bring up the eggs. I was scared to bring up the eggs.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be like, is it your period? I feel like this is a variant of that. So the old eggs, those eggs contained your life force.
It's like my body needs to recalibrate or something again, but I've been like going through a little bit of a depressive state and it hasn't happened to me in a while, so it kind of sucks, but
it is a perfect storm of stuff that you're going through right now on top of the mental health. The strike, I can only imagine what that's doing, and just in terms of like your outlook on your Monday through Friday of
we haven't talked about that at all.
No, not really,
because it's been like a year basically. Like basically it ended last November because we take a break basically from Thanksgiving to Christmas, like New Year's. It's kind of slow anyway. Right. And then once January hit, they knew the strike was looming, the writer's strike. So not a lot was going on. And then the writer's strike and now the actor's strike. And they're saying it's probably going to be till January. So I've worked on a few projects this year, but it's still just like kind of sucks that it's, not the network things that I usually do. And it feels we already had a big break for the pandemic and now it's like another year and it just kind of sucks. Like I just feel like I'm losing a lot of the valuable time I could have had and it just, it's kind of shitty and I get down on myself about it.
I'm sorry. I hadn't even thought of that. You guys are kind of double whammy because of COVID. That's brutal.
That sucks.
Now, does it violate the strike that you do this podcast and act like you like me? Does that... Are you, what's that called, a scab for that a little bit?
Yeah.
It's actually specifically in SAG rules, you can't be friends with Danny Vega.
That's crazy they put that in.
I didn't know that. That's perfect then.
And that was something, something the studios were like, we'll let you be friends with Danny. And SAG was like, no, you keep that in.
They have my back.
I don't know if this will help, but it's a visualization thing that has always really resonated with me, and it's something that I offer up to friends whenever they're going through a hard time. But it's the bow and the arrow. Have I ever shared this with you?
I don't think so.
The idea is in order for an arrow to fly, it has to be pulled back in the bow. The further an arrow is pulled back, the further the arrow is going to fly. And it's very simple visualization, but whenever I'm going through particularly long stretches where it just seems like nothing's going the right way, I'm down in the dumps, I'm, whatever it might be, reminding myself arrows got to get pulled back if you want to fly forward. So it's simple. It's, it's a little elementary, but it has really helped me get through some of the darkest chapters of my life. And very often, I don't know if it's just me picking up on patterns that I want to see, but very often after I go through those dark periods, a lot of good stuff happens in very short order.
And the best part is when that arrow does fly, you go and you kill a deer.
Yeah,
that's very true.
It's funny you mentioned that. Every time I've thought of that, I wind up killing a deer with my car. I'm up to 6 in the last 4 years.
I love that. So it's like you have to take a few steps back. To what's that one saying?
One
step back, 2 steps forward.
I think it is typically 2 steps back, 1 step forward. But the way that you said it also works.
That works too.
Great. I love a good phrase, and I love a dead deer. So
can't eat it if it's alive.
That's what I try to tell. Well, you could.
It's a lot
That's
harder.
An interesting question. I had a very interesting night out, though. God bless you. So, person who says God bless you to anybody doing anything, like it's not a sneeze or anything. You picking your nose, God bless you.
Fart.
God bless you. So, my friend did something very clever. She's like, I want you to go to my friend's birthday party, but I don't feel right inviting you. So I texted her friend because we were kind of acquainted, and I was like, happy birthday. And so I got myself invited to this birthday party.
Okay.
And it was really fun. And I don't think there's any way she would hear this. So anyway, my friend was killing me the whole night. I was laughing so hard because there was this girl there and she just dressed very LA, like all vintage, and whatever. It was like not remotely like it was hip. It was trendy. It was, it was hipster.
Yeah.
But she had this dog. This dog was filthy. This dog was filthy. I'm going to try my best to explain it. All the hairs of the dog were clumped
together
into straight lines. So it looked like almost like a porcupine dog.
Oh my God.
And
Wait, what kind of dog though?
like one of those little white terrier kind of dogs, but with long
then
hair.
it's even more obvious because it's white.
Yes.
Those dogs
And-
are immortal too. You could run it over with
Seriously.
a bike. They just keep running.
They just keep going. And she had ear things on the dog. You know what I mean? Like at a construction site. I don't know what those are.
Oh,
ear
little
plugs?
muffs.
Like ear muffs.
Ear muffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, so at one point my friend goes, she's like, I'm not sure if that girl is a singer songwriter or homeless. I was fucking dead. But yeah, we did like karaoke and went bowling, and I just had a great time in LA. I did.
Fun.
Karaoke and bowling?
Yeah, that's a double whammy.
We played one game of bowling and then went and did karaoke like in one of those rooms in Koreatown.
Oh, I love that.
It was super
That's
fun.
Yeah, that's the way to do
Super
it.
fun. It was weird when we got into the room. It was on like max echo mode, so you would literally be like boop, and it'd be like boop.
Oh.
And I was like, this is the most poorly set up sound thing I've ever. Like, this is horrible.
Yeah, because if you're singing a whole song, it's gonna be brutal.
Brutal. And then I was like, hey man, there's like a really bad echo. And he's like, oh, that's an effect. I was like, who would turn that on?
Yeah, what the
People who
hell?
like to suffer.
That's awful.
And we got, so somebody started with Lucky. Oh, and by the way, so everything's in Korean for some reason. I mean, for good reason.
Yeah.
We're in Koreatown, but like everything is in Korean. And I was like, okay, I think maybe they couldn't put the menus in English too. Like that's pretty normal software functionality to change the language. Nope, it's all Korean. So somebody plays Lucky, and then the lyrics are in English. We can't stop playing Lucky.
Oh no.
And I don't know if you've ever
it's
heard
just
Lucky
stuck.
twice in a row, but it don't work the second time. It doesn't feel like you're lucky anymore. It's bad. It's really funny.
I was at a room like that once, and somebody in the party thought, because everybody had been drinking, and somebody thought, oh, it'd be so funny if I did one of the Korean songs of this machine. And as soon as the song started, I felt so bad for her because she's just up there looking at the screens like, I'm sorry, I thought this would be funny. I can't read Korean. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And we couldn't stop it. So she was just kind of doing a little dance while the song was playing.
you couldn't stop with it.
She went
I
with
know
it.
there's nothing worse than when you pick a karaoke song and you think it's going to be like a banger and then no one else really knows it. So no one else is singing along with you. And I hate doing karaoke songs where no one's singing along. And then you're like stuck there having to sing the song and you don't realize it's the wrong register. And like, it's just brutal.
It's key, the song selection that everybody's in, because that's what made it so fun as I was singing every song.
Yes, you have to choose the ones that like everyone knows.
But I do kind of get frustrated if it's a karaoke party where, because like for instance, at our party over the summer, you did Feel Like a Woman and blew the doors off of the place.
Yeah,
I felt like we were all
missed
just cheering you on. We were just like witnessing your stardom in the power of that song.
Wow.
And then
thank you.
also our
It was
friend.
your suggestion. You suggested I do that song and then you didn't, and then you missed it.
I suggested
Danny.
you do Feel Like a Woman?
Yeah.
Because you were like, what song should I do? And that's the song I said?
Yes.
Damn, I didn't know
That's
I would
pretty
do.
cold, man.
I didn't even know I would do something like that. That doesn't sound like me at all.
It was you.
But if you're in a group where like people are only doing stuff like Sweet Caroline and YMCA, it gets so just like, can somebody go out on a limb and try something? Like Nikki did Break Stuff by Limp
Oh,
Bizkit.
I did not like that though.
Oh, they were
It scared me.
amazing.
The song is like scary to me.
It is scary, but Nikki doing it was
Yeah.
incredible. They knocked the doors off the
It's
place.
like,
That is what
Right?
Red Durst sounds
Wow.
like. Yeah.
All right, guys.
they did a great job though.
It was a lot of fun. Please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Our sponsor today is karaoke, just the concept of karaoke. I don't know.
Half your friends will love it. The other half will want to leave. Karaoke.
It's like the milk farmers of America, you know, just like got karaoke. Like what? Anyway, so we're kind of doing a new segment here. Basically the idea is that, you know, sometimes we just like to just come for an OP. Like they're obviously, we're not going to defend them. There's not much of a discussion to have. I'm calling these slam dunks.
Slam donkeys.
Slam dunkies.
Or as Jake likes to say,
Slam donkey.
There we go.
No rule that says a donkey can't play basketball. Coming to
Shannon.
theaters this September.
Yeah, there we go.
okay. AITA for reporting my sister for plagiarizing my fashion designs. I, 18F, and my sister, 17F, applied to the same design intern position recently. We submitted our applications a few months back. We had to include a portfolio of our best work with the application. A couple weeks ago, I received a rejection letter and my sister got in. This made sense because she has an associate's degree in fashion design, whereas I am less experienced. I was proud of her. The other day, I asked to use her computer for something and I saw a folder labeled portfolio. Curiosity got the best of me and I unintentionally snooped. I was curious to see her submissions because she'd refused to let me see before. I saw the designs that closely resembled mine. Sketches that were slightly modified versions of mine. I confronted her and she said she had been nervous, so she used my designs for inspiration.
Goop.
I haven't told anyone else about this yet. I don't think she deserves that internship. I could just email her boss and tell them she plagiarized, but I don't know. Obviously, getting fired before even starting the internship would look bad on her resume, but she brought this upon herself. Would I be the asshole?
Okay, I know I said these are slam donkeys, but let me just say one ding here.
Yeah.
I unintentionally snooped.
I know, I saw that too.
You intentionally snooped.
That's
you
fine.
Unintentionally saw the folder. You
But
totally,
you snooped.
intentionally snooped.
You got to
Yes.
double click to open up the folder. You can't
sure do.
accidentally double click.
Yeah. And come on, like, whatever. I would have probably done the same thing.
Totally. I don't think it's the biggest crime, but I would just say that's the one.
It's interesting,
I know.
isn't it? Because if you snoop and you don't find anything, crime.
Yeah.
If you snoop and you find something, no crime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it kind of outweighs the snooping.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. But yes, I'm generally on board.
One thing that's also interesting to me is that the sister is younger than OP and she has an associate's degree in fashion design. Like, what does that mean? Associate's degree?
that's
You don't know an associate's degree? That's like a 2-year degree from a community college.
Oh, so she was doing it during high school?
I knew some
Okay.
people who got associates through high school
Through
just
high
to
school.
set themselves up for college. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically just stealing someone's work, which honestly, you know, I think here we've established ourselves as pro worker and in different circumstances. Like, you know, if, for instance, like Shannon wants to, or you guys are like applying to be a podcast producer and you haven't necessarily done every aspect of the process,
Right.
I'll be like, claim the whole fucking thing on your resume. You think I give a shit? What are they going to call the podcast police? Like, who gives a fuck?
But what if we were up against the same thing?
Well, yeah, if you were against me, then I would say, no, you can't do that.
Yeah,
'Cause that's
exactly.
my credit. But so I think,
that's what's going on here.
yeah, I mean, I think that is why it's a slam dunk, because it's like you stole her work to compete against her. Like
Yeah.
you did her dirty.
Right. I remember for this one, like one of the studios have these like writer programs, like internship kind of things. And I wanted to submit. I wrote a pilot with a friend of mine, and I have my own pilot at the time, and they needed 2, and I like wanted to just take her name off of that and submit. Like,
Yeah.
but I didn't end up doing that. But I would, because I don't know, it kind of felt wrong because she wrote it with me,
Right.
so I like was kind of in a pickle there. I wasn't sure what to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to always, you know, attribute and give credit where it's due. I guess I do want to say I have one practical question.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if she does report her sister, that's the question, by the way.
Yeah.
If she does report her, I think the business would fire her.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they hire the other sister. So I'm
Right.
kind of like, I think I would apply more pressure to the sister to be like, you fucked me here. You owe me big. I don't see any good coming of this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't really benefit her for her sister to lose her job.
It would be a matter of vengeance versus calling in the favor down the line and I feel like that might be more in line with what siblings would do. My stepsister and I are close, but we didn't grow up together. So you two would have more. Is that more in line with like a solid for your sibling of like, yo, you did me dirty. Can you back me up on this? Like, will you look out for me and try to get me an opportunity?
Yeah, I think that would make more sense. I don't think it would be right for her to call the job. Personally, like I think
you would spare your wonderful
and
sister.
then like at another point be like, you owe me for something.
So you wouldn't do Chelsea like that, huh?
Hell no way.
Shannon's not a snitch though.
I am a snitch.
Yeah, we know that.
Damn, I kind of like that about you, Shan. You're kind of you take a bullet for that Chelsea, huh?
Oh yeah, ride or die.
I feel like you would snitch on Andy when it's funny. You wouldn't like do it in places where he would get in trouble. Like if you could get him in like a gotcha situation, like a sitcom level stakes situation, you might tattle.
Oh yeah, I mean I'll bust his ass, but I mean Andy's very different than me, and I know we're just so weird. That's 8 years, you know what I mean?
Right.
I feel like not his dad, but like you know what I mean? Like I'm like his crazy uncle. Like
right.
There's never really like I was really mean to him when I was young, and I still have flashes of guilt about it. But I've never, you know, I mean, come on, he's a child.
Right.
The only thing I'll say here is if you're committing plagiarism to get the job, how long before you swim or sink in this role? If you needed to get the role by taking somebody else's design, do you have the chops to stay above water here?
Mm-hmm.
You probably do. I mean, I don't know that much about fashion. I actually went on a date with this girl one time who had a crazy job. I can't even remember what it was called, but it was like she designed the patterns that machines would make dresses from. They were actually technical in nature. They weren't actually that creative. And I forgot what all this was called. It all had custom
like textile
jargon.
design?
Yeah, it was like basically it was, and I was like, well, isn't it cheaper for a machine to do that? Because it's like 3D. It's basically a 3D render, but you have to draw because you have to like draw every aspect of the dress, like every single thing.
Oh, interesting.
And she was like, it's cheaper, but you have to be like a big company to be able to afford the software and the machine. So some people just have like a couple people like me. And anyway, I wasn't attracted to her at all, but I loved learning about this crazy thing. I was like, this is wild.
Yeah, that sounds like one of those jobs that you sigh every time somebody asks, what do you do for a living? Because you know you're about to launch into like, okay, I have to explain this now.
Try and explain.
It took no, it was exactly that. It was because it was like I design dresses, but not really. And then I'm like, go on.
Yeah. At least it's interesting.
I will say there's one upside to snitching here. If you do this, you literally are the fashion police.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
That's pretty good.
It's worth it.
That's pretty good.
That's a great segue into this comment, which made me so annoyed. Milota Lover 213 wrote, no, that's actually illegal. Like, no, she doesn't deserve the job if she copied yours. NTA, no, it's not.
Illegal.
Illegal? There are no fashion police. You can become them. Like, that's not really, like, yeah, there is such a thing as copyright law, but it doesn't, like, calling it illegal is kind of a misnomer.
Wait, we have another comment here that I don't know that I agree with either. Type 1 error says, if she hadn't stolen your work, you might have gotten that job. No, because, well, I guess because then maybe hers would be slightly better, but she did make better versions of OP's work.
Well, who can know? I feel like this is conjecture.
Yeah, I always feel like when it comes to getting a job, it does kind of matter when they pulled your resume and application.
And also
right?
the fact that she had the associate's degree too, like could have had something to do with it.
And then there's the whole thing of like, have y'all ever heard about that statistic of if you're going out for auditions or you're interviewing or whatever, your odds of getting it if you're one of the first 5 they see in the morning or the first 5 they see right after their lunch break, your odds are way higher because their energy levels are further up. Their attention is more present.
Sense.
If you're the last one they see before lunch or the last one they see at the end of the day, it's like almost a guarantee you're not getting it.
There's no way to control that though, right? Because it's just like a stack.
Yeah.
Oy.
I'm pretty sure that applies to judges in prison too. So,
oh God,
that would suck. AITA for reporting my sister for plagiarizing my fashion designs. I think we agree. It's a whopping. Well, I'm still saying NTA and she is.
Yeah.
Even if you report her.
Yeah. No, it's
I don't
an
think
NTA.
she should report, but I can't ding her for being upset.
That's fair.
I don't think she should. I wouldn't blame her if she did. I could understand why you might.
I say use it as leverage. AITA for taking away, this is another slam dunk, people. AITA for taking away my insecure daughter's makeup and fashionable clothing for bullying her stepsister. I, F35, have a daughter, Jessica, 15F, and 2 years ago I married Joe, 47M, who has a daughter, Bella, 15F. I presumed Jessica and Bella got along. At home, they were always nice to each other, shared stuff, seemed to have fun. Recently, I got a call from their school stating that Bella was crying in the office. They told me Jessica was bullying her for being, quote, ugly and, quote, unfashionable. Oof. Bella does have a lot of alternative style, but I think it's creative and unique. I picked Bella up from school early and took her out for ice cream. She confessed she didn't say anything because she wanted Jessica to like her, and she didn't want to cause any problems, as since her mom died, she hasn't seen her dad so happy. When Jessica came home, I told her that her behavior is extremely unkind, and I asked her why she did it. She continued to say Bella, quote, dresses like a freak and looks like a hideous rat. She said her friends were teasing her for having to live with Bella. I told her I would be taking away her phone for a week and that she has to apologize to Bella. I'm sorry. Hideous rat is making me laugh. It's not okay.
It's terrible.
She then proceeded to say more nasty things about Bella, which made me snap. I told her I would take away all her makeup except her skincare prescribed by her derm and most of her new clothes that I bought for her last week. She then started crying, which made me feel bad, but I didn't relent. One of her main interests is makeup and fashion, as she wants to be a stylist when she grows up. But since she is bullying her stepsister for a related thing, I thought it would be appropriate until she learns to show kindness. I have offered to set up therapy or try to discuss it, but she screams I am ruining her life every time I am near her. AITA.
I mean, this Jessica.
Classic Jessica move here.
Such an easy name to put some
Jessica
venom into. Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica.
Well, the only thing I could say for Jessica is that maybe she's just like really negatively being influenced by her other bullying friends that she's hanging out with that are bullying her for living with this quote unquote freak.
I don't think they did say that. I thought you were adding a new insult to the pile. I was like, hey.
Shannon hates Bella too.
Yeah, so
I'm with that. Honestly, this does sound, from how it's being described, it sounds like Jessica's running with a mean crew. It sounds like she, and I hate it when kids do this. I was the victim of it. I partook in it. I think everybody has had different levels of this where you see an opportunity to establish yourself within the group that you're trying to be in. And, you know, I don't think I continued on with this behavior into high school. I think the last time I ever engaged in it was probably middle school, but you see an opportunity to include yourself in the in crowd by establishing who's on the outs.
Right.
So I want to give her that benefit of the doubt, but honestly, I think that this punishment fits the crime pretty well.
I think it's beautiful. It's a poem.
yeah.
I'm curious though, Shannon, were you ever a mean girl, or I forgot how that played out? Because isn't this like a mean zone for girls, the 15s?
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, they're 15. Yeah. I would say like middle school was like definitely the time where my friends, my three best friends and I, like, we actually were sometimes kind of mean to each other because we grew up together since we were like in diapers practically. So it was really hard for us to make that transition from like being kids to all of a sudden like we're making out with boys, we're buying bras, and we're like judging each other for doing that stuff because like we want to be doing that, but we also like want to play with Barbies too. And so there was definitely some times that like we were kind of mean to one another. Never like outright bullying like this, like calling names or anything like that.
Yeah,
No,
this sounds like
is
open
next level.
humiliation.
Yeah, and I love that she is taking away her clothes that are now going to make her like not so fashionable and hide behind her
That friend
cute
group's
little
going to turn
clothes.
pretty quick here as soon as she shows up without that makeup, I think.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's the perfect punny, it really is. Couldn't be better. I was really mean, but not in high school. Was 15 high school?
Yeah, I would say that's like freshman year, like end of freshman year, depending on where your birthday lies. Beginning of sophomore. Yeah, those were complicated times too, though. Like, I remember just not ever knowing. Like, I definitely got into some trouble with some friends of like, I learned my big lesson of not telling, like not reporting to other friends that these people were like talking about her. It's like I had different groups of friends, and then I like went and told the other people that they were talking shit.
You were spying, huh?
Spying, I guess. And ooh, man, it blew up in my face. So I do feel like there's a lot of insecurity, especially with women or, young girls, like trying to figure out their bodies and their fashion, their vibes and stuff like that. But taking it out on somebody that you see as like less than is never okay. And she needs to learn this lesson. And I hope she does. But I'm worried that maybe this won't even teach her a lesson because now she's the victim in her mind,
I don't know if it'll work. I can't speak to it, but it makes perfect sense to me. And I feel like eventually she'll come around because she's being forced to empathize, which I think is a beautiful thing.
I think you're right on there, man. I think with kids, you don't see the impact right away, right? I think that the lesson gets learned over time. It's not like she's going to wake up the next day and be like, oh, I was wrong. 6 months from now, she's probably going to get the message from this.
Oh, I don't think that's unique to kids, though. I would go on that. I mean,
even adults too.
I'm barely doing things now that I've been trying to change about myself for like so long,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The horse is outside, is what I'm trying to say. Can me and my horse sleep here, Jake?
I guess
the horse can stay in the lot next to the apartment. That's fine.
I feel like, well, at least like going back to what I was just talking about with like the situation of where I, told on my other friends is like, I learned that lesson like real fucking quick because because my peers were upset with me. And it was like, the one girl was like basically kind of like ostracizing me from the other classmates too. And I think I even had my mom come and like pick me up. I was like so upset to still be there. And so I don't know if it's like maybe you learn the lesson more when your peers are like the ones that are giving you the consequences. Cause a lot of times you're like, oh, that's just mom. Like my stupid mom is like grounding me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just curious if it was like maybe Bella could somehow like show her how it hurt her. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I'm curious if any parents want to comment. I'm curious what they'll say. But to me, this makes a ton of sense.
It seems fair to me.
Everybody went NTA on Reddit. Coastal Kid 92 NTA. Do I think Jessica needs consequences? Yes. Do I think taking away clothes and makeup will make her see the error of her ways? Probably not. There is a much deeper issue here, and I think that the best course forward is therapy because her reaction here seems extreme. It shouldn't be a discussion as to whether or not she goes. It should be an expectation.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's an idealization there though. I had a friend who was forced to go to therapy and like hated therapy because of it. Like
yeah. I've had a few friends with that.
Really?
Yeah. When they were young.
Armchair parenting here. I'm like, try your best to talk to your kids, but like, honestly, like, I don't think this consequence is unfair. You gotta, I just think this forces her to be empathetic. So whether or not it's effective or not, I could care less. AITA for taking away my insecure daughter's makeup and fashionable clothing for bullying her stepsister. I honestly might even say this is farther than bullying. This is like straight up cruel. Like
when it's coming from inside the house, it's really damaging. That's worse than having bullies at school by a country mile. That's awful.
Yeah.
Your whole sense of security of identity is constantly under threat in that situation. So you got to take whatever steps you can to try to rectify the situation.
And also she already is in kind of a perhaps uncomfortable situation living in a home with someone she didn't grow up with. I mean, you can speak to this more, but you know, having a stepsister all of a sudden at like an older age and wanting them to like you, and so her mother died. Her life is already uprooted.
I was just going to bring that up because my situation was a bit different. My stepsister was just old enough where we never really had any overlap cohabiting together. I was a little annoying to her when we first joined up, but very quickly we became friends. We got past that stage pretty quick. And none of our parents had passed either. So I can't imagine the headspace that Bella's in here. So I really feel for her, but yeah, I think that whatever you can do to try to rectify this, I hear Danny too on, would this make her adverse to therapy? I think that's an interesting point. Because it's so black and white. This is wrong. There has to be some way to try to get through to her. And I think that the friends at school are the source of the problem.
Yeah, I do too.
I think we all agree it's YTA.
Well, NTA.
NTA, because it's the punishment. My bad.
Jessica
NTA
is YTA.
Jessica is. Guys, please listen to the pod on Spotify. We love the old Spotify. It's not old, actually. I mean, I guess it's old to me because I've always used it. It's freaking awesome.
It's the only way I listen to podcasts.
Awesome.
It's great.
Apple Podcasts. What's that? I don't need a podcast about apples.
Don't mention the competitors.
It's not. It's a podcast about apples.
Spotify, we love it. Rate, review, subscribe on Spotify. All right, guys, we're gonna start this dang freaking episode, folks. We love to see it. Our second story of the day: AITA for telling my boyfriend's coworkers that all my clothes were thrifted and hand tailored. But first, here's Shannon.
AITA for not giving my sister her wedding dress because she didn't invite my underage son. I, 40M, have a sister, 30F, who is getting married in a week. My sister asked my son, 17M, to make her wedding dress. My son has always loved design and fashion. He took technical courses in these areas and sewing, and even his friends keep asking for his clothes because they're so beautiful. At first, my sister was very annoying. My son drew about 50 dress designs in a month and she only liked one. He sewed it with great quality fabric, which I paid for as I wanted to get involved in a certain way. For 5 months, he made several adjustments to suit her wishes, as she always complained about something. After a while, he arrived at the final model and it was just amazing. My mother cried seeing my sister in the dress, and I confess that I almost got emotional too.
Almost got emotional. Not quite. I've never actually felt anything.
The problem was that last week, my son came to me about the wedding invitation that had not arrived for him, but had arrived for other family members. I thought maybe he didn't need one, but it still felt weird. I messaged my sister raising this issue, and she replied that she didn't want any underage people at her wedding because there would be alcohol. I asked if she was going to make an exception for my son, but she cut me off and said no. There are no children in my family. My son is the only minor, so I didn't see any sense in this rule for family members. And it makes matters worse. My son was very sad and cried because he spent months on this dress. I was very upset and told my sister that she should look for another dress as soon as possible, as she would no longer wear the one my son made. She called and yelled at me, saying I was being unreasonable and that I couldn't do this. My mother called me saying I should deliver the dress and follow the rules, but I didn't and hung up on her. Because of this, the family is divided. Many agree with me and condemn my sister's actions, saying she could only make an exception. But another part says I'm unreasonable and I'm spoiling her big day. I don't think I'm being wrong, but just rational and paying her back in kind. AITA?
Whew.
Oh, man, another one of these child-free weddings.
Child-free weddings with that old excuse of, well, there's going to be alcohol there.
I do not get that, guys. Is that a real fucking thing? Like, if the cops were to come, would they get in trouble?
No, because we've all been to a Buffalo Wild Wings. Have you seen kids are running amok in that place?
That's true. Good old Buff.
The Applebee's, sports bars all over the place. You're not. I've been to a wedding in Texas where they have to have police on site if the venue makes, I think it's 30% more of its profit off of alcohol over anything else. And this was like a what is it called when it's just beer and wine? Soft bar or something like that. And that's all.
Lame.
Lame. But it's just wine and beer. But there's still kids all over the place. There's two, and don't get me started on this. 2 armed police officers just wandering around a wedding. Weirdest shit I ever saw.
Yeah.
But
it's uncomfortable.
it was, and but there's kids everywhere, and I think it's just this convenient excuse that people who like, if you don't want to have kids at your wedding, that's one thing, but don't hide behind this like, hey, there's Chardonnay, there's nothing we can do.
It just seriously doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. Unless it's like because those bars have specific licenses, and maybe some wedding venues, like if you rent somewhere that's not specifically made for that, then maybe it's a problem. Like what if it's just like out in the forest somewhere?
That'd be a sick wedding.
That would be a sick
just
wedding.
out in the forest.
Lots of bugs though.
Yeah. Bugs are getting drunk too.
That's true.
It's wild.
But in that scenario, do we think it would be a problem?
I don't
think it would be a problem. There's just plenty of environments where kids are around and there's drinking. I mean, I don't think it's really valid. I don't think we're going to get any ground there. I guess one thing did jump out to me, though. I was kind of like, God, I don't know how we're going to defend. I don't know how there's any defense here. But I didn't like this. OP didn't make the dress.
Mm-hmm.
OP didn't make the dress. OP was not wronged. True.
Yeah.
Yet it was OP who withdrew the dress. I didn't like that. That felt a little weird to me. She says, right? OP's a she? No, I40M. Excuse me.
It's a man. I thought the whole time that we were discussing it yesterday, it was a woman for some reason.
He says I'm just rational and paying her back in kind. I didn't like that. I tend to not like vengeance in general.
I'm reading between the lines here, but between that and the I almost got emotional too, I think there's some beef here. I think that there's some long-standing issues between these two siblings.
Guys, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, that was pretty much it. That was my point.
My sister asked my son to make her wedding dress. Oh, I misread that.
Oh, wow. That's a really good point.
My sister asked my son to make her wedding dress. So is this a good point or is this nothing?
I don't know. What's your point?
You're tripping me out because I thought OP had asked and then withdrew. And then I'm like, oh no, this kid is just a pawn, but he is kind of a pawn anyway.
He is a pawn now.
The sister asked.
So the sister, how could she do this? How could she do this to him?
It doesn't make any sense.
It's so
he spent
brutal.
months, and also the OP paid for the quality fabric. He paid for the fabric for it to be made.
I think this is play stupid games, win stupid prizes on the bride's part. Like you went through all this trouble. You were so meticulous, 50 dress designs before settling on the one that you go through all these alterations on, put all this work into. And now you're not even going to let him come to the ceremony.
A custom wedding dress. You know how much money that would cost you?
It would cost a lot, but I do think I'm just trying to get any kind of ground here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, revisions are pretty normal.
Yeah, but 50?
No, what? No, ma'am. It wasn't 50 revisions. It was 50 initial designs.
Yeah.
And she only liked one.
But 5 months of work, several adjustments over 5 months.
Look, I don't know. I don't know that that's so unusual for a custom wedding dress.
Well,
it is at the price she paid. It is at the price she paid. Yeah,
which is
we can say that pretty.
I give you
that.
I give you that. I'm just not ready to ding on she was being impossible about this.
Well, I have no idea about custom dresses in any way, but just with revisions, like with other things that I've dealt with, a lot of times like the first one is free, and then oftentimes you have to then pay on top of that. So, you know, if she were to get 50 dress designs from a professional and then endless, bottomless revisions.
No bottomless revisions. That's triggering me. That's a nightmare.
For $0. Like that's what it's sounding like, for literally free, and your brother's paying for the fabrics, and it's like child labor here.
It is child labor. There's no way around that.
You're not even gonna let him watch his masterpiece come down the aisle and get to celebrate with you?
There it is.
Straight villainy.
I think Shannon just caught it. She doesn't want the dress designer there because that's going to take some of the attention off her.
Oh, you think?
I think.
That adds up to me. I think that's the strongest reason I could think of.
What if he's the only kid in this family, the only minor, I should say, 17, I think that she's a little afraid of losing some of the attention to the genius that this kid.
It's going to get around.
Yeah, and everybody, it's going to be a talking point, especially at the reception, where people are going to do the half circle and be like, "You designed that dress," and suddenly not all eyes are on little Miss 50 dress designs and bottomless alterations.
They would talk to him and he'd be like, "Yes, I made 50 designs and I love to work in the dress." And then they would go, "Wow, look at it." And then they would go back to her almost immediately to be like, "How did you do this?" And he's like, "Well, I did that. A little rat, and I work with a rat. The rat bites certain parts."
I like that Werner Herzog is the 17-year-old in this story for you.
It's like a Rats of Nim Werner Herzog collabo. Yeah, my references are old. Fuck you. Rats of Nim is all I got.
Yeah, I feel like there has to be another reason why she doesn't want him there, like you're saying. If there's anyone out there who has ever had a child-free wedding, I am so curious. Write in, please, because we have had many situations like this now. And I really want to hear from somebody that gives me a legitimate reason of why you wouldn't want, not children. I understand you not wanting children at your wedding. I absolutely understand young kids. Right. But when they're teetering on adult junior and they're like on their way 17. Into being either 21 or 18, whichever it is, and you're just tell us why. I need to know why.
So the question is why you don't want a 17-year-old.
Why you wouldn't want them there. And is it truly because of no alcohol? And that you'd get in trouble with that, or are there alternative reasons? Or are all of these brides really having other reasons, or is it because alcohol is there is a legitimate reason? Because we don't know, and we are just flabbergasted.
Res Dogs 870 writes, NTA, he should go and wear the dress.
Love that solution.
Oh
That's
my
fine.
God.
Now you're in big trouble.
Also, I just wanted to say, I love the way you said, is anyone out there? It just really, it really seemed like, I don't know if that was going to aliens or what.
Danny's the whole Discord.
Nobody listens to the pod. You guys are just my friends. That's it. I think we've talked through this. Hit us with this update, Shan.
Yeah, so we have an update here, guys. I talked to my son about the suggestions y'all gave, and he agreed to sell the dress at market price. He calculated the price of everything, and the value was quite high. We sent the proposal to my sister, and she hated it. She said she couldn't afford it because it was too expensive, and it should be a gift because she is family. I responded by saying that it was too easy to say that she was family to get a free dress, but not enough to include my son. She cried on the call and begged me not to ruin her day. At no point did she offer to just let my son go or apologize for it.
What a monster.
What the hell?
She won the biggest prize of the dumb game carnival. I keep coming back to that. And now that I'm thinking about it, every time I've been to a wedding where there's a problem person, they are almost always between the ages of 20 and 60. I have never been to a wedding where somebody under the age of 18 caused a problem. Even the little ones are usually asleep by the time the reception
or
gets
just
going.
like running off playing like with each other.
Yeah.
AITA for not giving my sister a wedding dress because she didn't invite my underage son. I think there's no charges here. I think this is another slam dunky.
Resounding.
Yeah.
NTA, and she is.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Utterly cruel. Mm-hmm. Guys, please rate, review, subscribe, listen to the pod on Spotify. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. AITA for telling my boyfriend's coworkers that all my clothes were thrifted and hand-tailored. I'm really big on sustainability. I don't buy anything new if I can help it. I love mending and fixing stuff when I can. I like to dress well, but what I usually do is go to the thrift shop and buy things that are made with high quality materials. Then I tailor and alter the clothes to fit me perfectly and to be more on trend. My boyfriend works at a corporate office, and this week he invited me to his company holiday party. I went to the thrift and bought a green dress. You know, you go to the thrift store a lot when you're at the thrift, which I tailored to hem it to my knee, take in the waist, and remove the dated bubble sleeve shoulders. We went to the company party and I felt like I'd fit the unspoken dress code really well. I was actually getting a lot of compliments. A few people at the dinner asked me where my dress was from and I said, just Goodwill. And people thought I was joking. I said, no, literally, I bought this on Monday and altered it just for this party. My boyfriend's coworker's wife was like, no way. And I took out my phone to show them the before and after, which was honestly a transformation I was proud of, since it went from like a 2007 tacky bridesmaid's dress that fit me like a trash bag to a really cute, perfectly fitted modern cocktail dress. Everyone seemed really interested and was complimenting me or asking genuine questions. I mentioned during the convo that most of my outfits cost under $10 to $20. I feel like I'm still getting better quality than anything retail because there often isn't the same effort put into workmanship nowadays. Overall, I felt like the party went well. I made interesting, polite small talk, didn't talk for too long, but when we left, my boyfriend was upset. He chewed me out the whole car ride for saying my dress was from the Goodwill bins, and all my outfits were under like $20. I got frustrated and asked him what he wanted to say. People were asking who made my dress, and it's not like I could throw out some designer's name when it was custom. He got upset. I quote, just kept talking about it and said I was just making small talk. Does he think Mike's wife is getting chewed out in the car for just keeping talking about gardening? He was really frustrated and told me what I said was different. He had an image to maintain. I was like, I'm not going to be looking any better if you try to put me in mass manufactured shit, even if it is expensive. And he got frustrated. AITA for telling people who asked that my dress was from Goodwill.
I think the image that he is concerned about maintaining is that he is interesting because he clearly isn't. And I think that that's why he's actually upset. She had something worth talking about that people were interested in hearing about.
That's an interesting
I'm with
read.
you.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually seem like he gave any reasons.
Nope.
Just that he didn't like it and that she was talking too much about it. He didn't actually say it was rude or anything.
Well, no, the reason is that he doesn't want to look poor.
But she didn't say that.
No,
I agree that that's probably the reason.
Oh.
Right, because the expensiveness was mentioned. Mm-hmm. Well, because Shannon and I talked about this, the fact that, like, you know, if you are like a big shot lawyer in certain industries,
someone trying to get investors,
yes,
has clients, a lot of times, you know, you do need to have some kind of an image, I guess, to get ahead, even though I feel like that's wrong. But, you know, you want to show that you have money so that when they invest in your business, then they feel like they can trust that their money's like going somewhere that they're going to get it back, I guess.
Right.
Money begets money. If you're going to invest into like a private jet, the guy selling you the private jet can't be in jeans and a t-shirt.
But it is interesting, though, isn't it? Because I would think now if somebody's truly good with money, this is an instance where I think OP is showing an incredible knack for handling money. The fact that she can take something that costs very little and inherently improve the value of it with a little bit of elbow grease and design work, that tells me you are much better with finances than somebody who would blow a bunch of money on a fancy dress.
Much better with money, but not with wealth.
Sure.
Like, I think that's the difference. And like, there are two different kind of codes here. I think this is kind of getting into like signaling and code. Cause like in the tech world, like the classic tech bro is like jeans and a t-shirt because like
Right.
status symbols aren't that important in that world. But like, you know, you get into the VC
Right.
world, the people who are trying to get the money for the tech company, like they're showing up in suits and Bugattis and
Well, it's like you were talking about with the person at the party with the invincible little rat dog at the top of the recording. I think in Los Angeles there is this thing where if you're at a really fancy party and somebody looks really matted and raggedy, there is sort of this thing of like, is that like the wealthiest person in the room?
Yeah.
Because it's that power dynamic of I can wear whatever I want anywhere.
I always like to look at the couples at Echo Park and, you know, take their pictures, whatever. Just kidding. But I always like to observe them. And for the first and almost, talking 99% of the time, she's gorgeous. He's gorgeous. It's almost always like that. And the other day I saw this beautiful girl with like the most average Joe of all time. And I was like, that guy is in a band. He has to be in a band.
Really?
He just had, and it wasn't that he was like ugly or anything. He just had nothing. There was nothing special about him. He was wearing such a bland outfit, bland clothes.
I feel like I would have assumed that he was rich, not in a band.
And man, he really sucked
both.
at being rich. Like,
Could be both.
I feel like he was in some kind of band. And,
I see what you
like
mean.
maybe
because
he's
he, like,
rich, but not like rich.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I feel like in this situation, she's not even necessarily shopping at Goodwill because she needs to. Like, it sounds like to me that she does it for like the sustainability of it, the quality of it. I mean, that's why I mainly do that. Like, I love secondhand. I love thrifting. Like, I really like it because you can find unique pieces, but a big factor is not buying fast fashion. I mean, I still do buy things new as well, but I love thrift stores because, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And the fact that she has this skill that she can tailor it. I mean, I have a lot of clothes that I have in a pile at home right now that I want my mom to sew and make like to fit me better.
Yeah.
And I want to ask her actually if she can like teach me how to do it because I'm really interested in that. So I think it's also a hobby for her too. And so it's not just like, oh, well, you know, my husband and I like have to shop here. Like we're forced to because we don't have money. And I feel like if the guy was aware of just a little bit more of how I think a lot of people are into thrifting these days, and it's not because of a necessity, but of the environment and all of that. So I think, you know, times are changing, and I don't think people look at Goodwill like, you know, oh, it's like what you have to do now, which actually, I'm sorry to keep going on, but Goodwill their prices are being insane.
There's a whole
these
subreddit
days.
about this.
Yes.
The subreddit is called like Thrift Scam or whatever. And it's just about how expensive Goodwill is.
Yeah. I saw a TikToker that would go and she would be like, is this more expensive at Goodwill than it was brand new? And it was like a Zara tank top that was selling for like $17 and it was like $8 at Zara.
Wow,
because they know that all these people are thrifting. It's a thing.
Well, and yeah, it's like not even, it's also inflation. Every company like was just like, oh, we can raise prices, so we're going to. Yeah, I think this is awesome. I think this is a cool thing to do. I have an appreciation for craftsmanship. I'm probably too stupid to tell the difference between a crafted dress and an uncrafted one. I'd be like, oh, she hot. But like,
you do say that.
I do. And I'm trying to be quieter about it. But like, I think this is a great thing. You know, there's a wonderful listener, Onella, who like her and her sister got like a boat. I forget what the boat was for. It was like a children's toy. And they like upcycle. I learned the term upcycle, which is kind of like the broader term for this. And so they painted it. And actually there was a bit of a debate because I think initially were going to go Barbie colors and now they're decided to go for a more rustic
Wait,
brown.
how big is it?
It's like big enough to pose with for an adult. It's like a child-sized boat, but like it,
because she does the impersonation thing. Was it for that?
she does princess parties.
Yeah, would it be for that?
I think so, or like related to that. Yeah, impersonation is a crime, I think. But yeah, I think this is awesome. Look, I think this can lead to problems in relationships because some people are in this look, there's a lot of people who demand and want to be seen as high status because of their car or whatever it may be, their designer brand or whatever, that totally don't need to. And that is excessive and stupid. I understand there's a select group of people who like need it. But I think you're an asshole and your values are fucked up. I think it sucks to live your life that way.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it back to the top of the situation for me. I've met a lot of people like this, and they are usually straight dudes who do this, but they are incredibly insecure when they are presented with their partner's fascinating elements of who they are as a person. And when they feel outshined, which is what I think was happening to this dude, they get toxic. And I think that, sure, there was probably a part of him that was telling himself, I have an image to maintain, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But I think ultimately he was put on his heels because this was a coworker. The coworkers he's surrounded by are more interested in his wife's capacity for creation over him. She was not being his arm candy. He was suddenly the accessory to his wife. And I think that is where a lot of this, because chewed out, that is what really stuck out to me. If we're just taking that as it lays, that is a serious overreaction, and one that kind of tells me like head for the hills.
Yeah. I think you're spot on.
I liked this one comment, a sequence of symbols. Sometimes there are different social codes, and honestly, he's not tuned into women's. She's basically saying how a lot of times when women say, I like that dress, thanks, it has pockets. And so when women are complimenting each other, we usually say like, oh, thank you, I got it on sale. Like we always like to kind of follow up with like a little tidbit about where we got it and stuff. So she's saying that's a normal exchange that results in my husband saying, why do we care about pockets? Honestly, it's hard to parse the social cues, but this is normal women's social discourse, and women are expected to know men's conversation styles. We usually do, but men often never bother to learn women's, and it sounds like this boyfriend hasn't and may need to.
But I don't understand stylistically, why is that distinctly, I would have this conversation with a guy. Why would I not?
Oh, do you?
I don't know. I guess it doesn't. I'm more like, this just seems more like he's ignorant to the fact that women's shit never has pockets.
Yeah.
I see what the comment is saying though, where I think that there is a aspect of misogyny where when women keep I'm using the word excessively incorrectly here, but when women are talking a lot about something, dudes who are in a shitty mindset will look at it as you're talking way too much. You're talking way too much.
On and on and on.
Which is funny because if you flip it around and like, especially this time of year, you hear two dudes starting to connect over fantasy football, and it is wild how long two dudes can go on about like, oh, I shouldn't have taken that tight end in the 7th round, and they'll just keep going and going on that. And they can't really see the disconnect. They see it as a disconnect, I should say, when two women are connecting at length over something like this, where it's just like, that's just people connecting, man. You gotta see it's just humans being humans.
I don't understand. I guess maybe I don't. Yeah, I just don't understand. I'm like, would I maybe not ask a guy where he got something, but I would, just not about clothes.
I do that with anybody when I see clothes that I like. But
yeah, I mean, you're more into clothes.
I was also raised by women, so that might have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, AITA for telling my boyfriend's coworkers that all my clothes were thrifted and hand tailored. I think this is NTA and nuclear. He is. Fuck this guy big time.
Yeah, so annoying.
Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. I think we're coming up on 180 bonus epiroos, and you'll love to see it, folks. All right, guys.
And follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We just hit 10K on Instagram. Finally.
We did it. Thanks to Shannon.
We were teetering in that 9K mark for entirely too long. So it feels good.
Yeah. And the clip was also a clip that featured you heavily.
Oh, yeah.
Which didn't I instruct you to only put me in the clips?
Yeah, right.
What if I was that maniacal? Yeah. Shannon, recut this so it looks like I'm reacting to my response.
It is funny if you go through our grid and scroll down far enough. Like when Shannon takes it over, it's this menagerie of memes and all of us and different clips and different pictures. And then if you scroll down long enough, you'll just get to this wall of Danny just staring right down the barrel.
If you guys haven't seen it, you need to go and scroll back to what our grid used to look like back in February. Keep going. And it is just brutal.
Very handsome. Very handsome.
Don't try to come back.
Brutally
Jake.
handsome.
Don't try to come back from
Because
this.
he used
Fuck
to
you.
read on the teleprompter.
I was trying to be professional.
It was so
I was trying to be professional.
AITA for being afraid of my dog.
And it was like so obvious you were reading too, with just like this dead stare. Too funny. But so cute.
Why do I have a podcast where I get roasted?
AITA for not going to my sister-in-law's wedding due to her dress code. I, 25F, am having a conflict with my husband's sister, 36F. She is getting married in 2 weeks, and her dress code is incredibly complicated to adhere to for me. It's a black tie, long sleeves, and floor-length gowns. The conflict happened because I am currently 34 weeks pregnant and overheat very quickly. And the wedding is entirely outside in the middle of the day in the southern US where it is incredibly hot. I cannot be in long sleeve, floor length gown in the heat for 8 hours. I have sent her a few dresses to try and compromise, but she is completely adamant about exactly what she wants. I told her yesterday that I cannot attend her wedding if she is not going to budge even slightly on the dress code. I told her she has the right to have her wedding exactly how she wants it and for it to be her perfect day, but I have the right to look out for my own health. She freaked out at me and told me I was being incredibly selfish and that for once, it isn't about me and my fucking baby. Which she only said because she is jealous I'm having the first grandchild and she felt like she should have had a baby before me and my husband. Since then, my husband's side of the family has told me I'm being selfish and to just compromise one day to keep the peace. I don't think I should need to compromise my health for her wedding. AITA?
Okay, Shannon, like, I get it's hot. It's a hot dress.
Yeah.
Can you just help me understand, like, why is it so much hotter?
Sleeves, long sleeves, and a floor length gown.
Oh, it's a long. Okay. Okay. So, and all these other dresses. So the OP put pictures.
She sent pictures.
And these are short sleeve dresses. Okay, I can
short
see.
sleeve,
Well, one of
full
them
length.
has sleeves. But so why does the gown? Why does the floor length gown? Because then that traps all the heat into your legs and shit.
Well, yeah, you're covered from head to toe, literally.
It's kind of like a Snuggie.
It's like a Snuggie, yeah.
I'd like to have a wedding in Snuggies.
But in 80-degree weather, I don't know, this said 80, but it's in the southern U.S. in incredibly hot weather outside during the day.
So that's a humid 82.
Oh, true.
That's brutal.
I truly have never heard of a dress code being this specific. Like black tie, yes, completely have heard of that. And that's usually gowns. Floor length gowns is usually what black tie is. But to require long sleeves, what the fuck is that?
It's very cold. It's
I've
very
never
cold.
heard that in my life.
It's very like Anne Rice Vampire Party.
Yeah.
It's like it's an off-putting. If you walked past this wedding in a hotel, you'd just be, what the fuck is going on in there? Are they
I've
going to
never
sacrifice
seen
somebody?
Her so worked up. She's like scary right
It's
now.
insane.
Long sleeve floor length gowns get Shannon worked up.
And it's like on the invite, because normally it's like, you know, black tie or cocktail, like they give just a little tiny word of what
Yeah,
the
formal.
dress-
I just got formal.
Formal. And so, but in what would the invite say where it's like black tie in parentheses, long sleeve and floor length? Like this is so bizarre to me.
Bizarre. It's oppressive. It's punishing.
It's oppressive.
almost.
Yeah, it's kind of like Handmaid's Tale a little bit vibes.
No, there is like a very strange authoritarian tone to this. I don't know why it's so off-putting to me that it's that it being that uniform in that kind of weather. It seems like the point is to make people uncomfortable.
We will suffer now, ladies. We will suffer.
And we kind of reacted to it a little bit, but like this lady hates this baby. The
guess
bride to be's
so.
already got beef with a baby, and that's a bad look. You never want to have
fucking
personal issue with an
baby.
unborn baby. That's just not, you don't look like a hero in that situation.
No.
Wayward Jinx writes, NTA, is the bride really going to want to compete with a feigning pregnant lady? Because that's going to happen.
True.
And the solutions she sent are gorgeous too. I mean, I guess I could understand pushback on not being within the color scheme, but the top picture here, and sorry for audio format listeners, but if you catch this clip or watch it on YouTube, maybe we can figure out a way to get this link to you. It's a gorgeous dress, and it more or less meets the confines of this ridiculous dress code. That's
the first one is well, black tie doesn't mean it has to be black though. Just floor length.
Okay.
Just like a gown.
Oh, all right.
Black tie doesn't mean it has to be black.
No, it's just.
I'm so sick of this
floor
world.
length. Yeah.
I can't do this anymore. If black tie doesn't mean black, then you can go fuck yourself.
I didn't know that either, and I'm right there with you. Like, what are we doing?
I've had enough.
It's pretty insane.
I've had enough.
But so the one gown is sleeveless, but it has like a cape that is sheer, like mesh almost.
Love
but
it.
it kind of goes over the shoulders a little bit. So I think it totally goes. And the other two are maybe like a little bit more casual, but they're still, one is long sleeve, but not floor length. It's to her mid calf. And then the other one is short sleeve, like, but still pretty long, like almost to her elbows and then all the way down to the floor. And it's beautiful.
Let me say
Baby
this.
doll kind of vibes.
I don't like lace, and I don't know why, but I've always found it so ugly. Is anybody with me on this?
I can kind of meet you there. It's not. I'm not opposed to it. I just don't find it like eye catching.
Yeah,
it's not
it's
for
Always
me.
my
on
favorite
lingerie and
thing.
stuff, and I think it's so ugly.
But I actually see that's interesting. I feel like lingerie is doing too much all the time. That's like lingerie has never really done it.
I like
for
the
me.
more simple ones.
Yeah, it's way simple is, and we're off base here because we're talking about a formal occasion, but just in terms of sexiness, I feel like the busier lingerie is, the less I'm into.
Yes, exactly. It's busyness. I don't like.
bet.
AITA for not going to my sister-in-law's wedding due to her dress code.
Well, wait, can we talk about how she's jealous that the OP's having the baby first?
Why do we
too?
think that?
That's what OP claims, that
Because
she's jealous because the sister and presumably her husband are older. So it's like they think they should be the first ones to have children in the family.
And I'm with that assessment because
because she's 25F and the husband's sister's 36F.
yeah.
if that's not the case, then this full-grown woman just has beef with a baby, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Baby race.
Or just like is
Coming to AMC.
From the people who brought you Slam Donkey, it's Baby Race.
I'm going to induce pregnancy at 4 months. The conservatives told me that was viable. Okay. Oh, God.
yeah, or she's just like very controlling bride in general.
Yeah, I mean, that's just really unhinged. I think, look, I mean, I think this is the thing we've talked about before. There is a competitiveness. Actually, oh my God, I had an insight about this, Shannon.
Let's hear it.
I feel like you're mocking me. You had this theory of like the matriarchy thing of like you tend to care about your daughter's children more than your son's kids.
Yeah, or feel like they're closer to you.
Sure.
Which I asked my godmother about this. She has 2 sons and a daughter.
Okay.
And I asked her, they all have kids. And I said, do you feel a sense of more of a connection with your daughter's kid? And she said, yeah,
Of
that
the
she
womb.
did.
So, and here's the
And that her son even said, like, once her kid is here, can you please not forget about mine?
Of the balls.
Of the balls.
of the balls, it's a lot weaker. So my first theory was, and by the way, I talked to ChatGPT, and we might be anthropologists for this. I don't know if that's the word.
We're gonna write a dissertation on it.
The freaking Louis Vega hypothesis. So A is that in the old times, in the caveman times, you really had no way of knowing that your daughter, you knew your daughter's kid was your kid because she came out of it. She was there. Whereas you never know, the sons, that gets dicey. But here's my other thing is that I've been reading this book called, I keep forgetting what it's called, but it's important. And it's about how there's disparities between men and women. And a lot of them are that women do like almost all the, like almost 75% I think of the unpaid labor. And a lot of that is care. And I'm like, you know who's going to care about you when you're dying? It ain't your son. Like statistically, it's not.
Yeah.
And I actually, one of the things I told my parents when my dad would ask me, like I was like 12, he was like, you know, what would happen if like we were whatever? And I was like, oh, I'm not going to fucking be visiting you or nothing. Like I was really mean about it.
Oh my God,
my dad thought it was funny, but
okay, good.
should have had a daughter. Sorry.
Should have had his daughter.
Off the
Well,
balls.
they tried 8 years later, and
I know.
another boy.
They got
Hopefully,
another.
Andy is a little more.
Andy's nicer than me, you know. But anyway, I think we got all the juice to squeeze here, right?
Yep.
AITA for not going to my sister-in-law's wedding due to her dress code. I think we agree this is an enormous
Yeah.
NTA, and she is.
NTA.
Oh yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Much love. Listen on Spotify. Share the pod on Spotify with your friends. We love you. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
I like that one.
Beautiful.